Years ago, I went to visit Rav Elia Weintraub. He was a gadol in Bnei Brak, and he gave us a beautiful mashal. He told us there was a book that came out in America of a person that snuck into the nuclear plant of America. Top secret, classified, you need crazy clearance. And somehow he got into the big room with buttons all over the place. Danger, warning, don't press, million warnings all over the place, sirens. So what could be the big deal about this room? All these buttons, all these gadgets. Somehow he snuck in, he gets into the room. So let me give it a try. Presses this button, that button, this button. What's the big deal? Nothing's happening. He's looking around, nothing's going on. Pressing another button, another button, another button, another button. And he's thinking that, based on all the signs and also the security, this is going to be bombs and crazy things and nothing's happening in the room. He says, that's just a button. It's just everyone's overreacting. It's just a button. But then when he walks outside, he sees chaos. He sees wars, nuclear, rockets, bombs. He didn't realize the buttons that he pressed shattered the whole world. He didn't realize that what he thought was just a button spiraled into crazy, crazy wars all over the place. Rockets flying, different countries, people screaming, sirens. And Rabbi Weintraub said, sometimes we think it's just a button. Sometimes we think we're doing something small, we're doing something little. And we don't realize the effect that it has. And that's what learning is. Owning a masechta, learning, owning, bikon a masechta. We think, okay, it's a good thing, it's a nice thing. We have no idea what an effect it is. We have no idea what an effect it has. Yes, Talmud Torah is a mitzvah. Yes, it's a mitzvah to learn. But Torah is much more than a mitzvah. It's a builder, it's a changer, it's a life changer, it's a game changer. A person can do mitzvahs, a person can wear tefillin, tzitzis all day long, every day, from the day he was born to the day he dies, and he can still be the same guy from the beginning to the end. Not possible with Torah, not possible. A person cannot learn in a real way unaffected. A person cannot learn in a real way unchanged.
It's the same message that the Ger Rebbe once told at Sabrachan Yid, a broken Jew who had recently lost his wife and was very, very lonely, and he cried to the Rebbe from the depths of his solitude. And the Rebbe told him, Oy Yid hat a Blatt Gemara, is kein Mal nicht allein. If a Jew has a Blatt Gemara, he's never alone. Which one of us wouldn't want such a companion? Liman HaTorah is so much more than just another mitzvah. It is life itself. Those words, Ki heim chayenu v'yarech yameinu, are to be taken literally. Rabbi Aaron Paperin was a chaplain during World War II, and after the war was over, he would visit DP camps to provide for the needs of the Holocaust survivors. And we'd ask each of the survivors, Was darf dir? What do you need? And the answer would invariably come back, Ich darf a paar Shich. I need a pair of shoes. Ich darf a paar Hosen. I need a pair of pants. However, there was one Yid. His name was Mr. Seeger. He was a Bavaver Chassid. He had a strange request. When Rabbi Paperman asked him, Was darf dir, what do you need? His response was, Ich darf a Bave Kame. Rabbi Paperman said to him, Ja, aber was darf dir? What do you really need? And again, the same response, Ich darf a Bave Kame. Until Rabbi Paperman finally realized that that is what he really wanted. And he was successful in getting him a Gemar Bava Kama. That Yid knew with his entire being that besides for clothes and shelter and food and water, every Yid needs something else. He needs a Bava Kama. Ki heim chayenu v'yarech yameinu.
There's a muscle with a camel, a baby camel talking to a mommy camel. So the baby camel's looking around all the animals. Says, why am I so different than all the other animals? I have these legs, these straight, thin, thick legs. So the baby goes to the mom, why are my legs different than all the other animals? So the mom says, oh, we're so lucky. We could travel hundreds of miles in the desert at a time. We have strong, thick legs. We are so lucky. No other animal can do that with our legs. Wow. Mom, one more question. Why do we have these big bumps on our back? Why? So I said, oh, hon, we're so lucky. Because we can travel hundreds of miles in the desert. All this, that big hump, it keeps all the nutrients, all the food in it. So we can travel hundreds of miles in the desert without eating. We could go and go and go. Other animals have to stop, they have to rest. We could go on and on because our nutrients is in our back on this big hump. Wow, we're so lucky. And one more question, why do we have these big eyelashes? I don't see any other animals have that. Oh, we are so lucky because we could travel hundreds of miles in the desert and the dust doesn't come into our eyes and the sand doesn't come into our eyes. We are the luckiest animal. No other animal can be it. So the baby goes, one more question, Mom. What good is all that if we're stuck in the zoo? What good is that? All the powers, all the potential, all the talents, all the colors, if we're stuck. The same with us. We have so much in us. You have no idea how much we could be, how far we could grow. Yet, we need to unlock our cage. How is that going to happen? What's going to unlock our cage? Chazara, 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 owning, attaching yourself to the Torah in a real way. In a way that you enjoy, in the way that you love, in the way that's capable. We can't settle. We can't settle to just be okay. When you're made to be great, you cannot settle.
But today, there are so many distractions, so much to occupy one's time, so much out there that dazzles the eye and the imagination, and yet people will rise at 5 a.m. or begin at 11 p.m. to do what? To study a text written more than 1,500 years ago in a difficult language, which is intellectually challenging with many arcane subjects. And this has to compete with other pursuits that seem so much more alluring. They will do this in planes and on trains and in buses. They will do this during chasanas waiting for the chuppah. They will do this in doctor offices and in supermarket checkout lines. They and their wives and their family and their children will bend their schedules to make this happen. Why? How do we explain the inexplicable? Perhaps it's because people realize that Torah is real and everything else, no matter how dazzling, is just fake. A Yid without limud HaTorah in some form will eventually decline and wither and wane in his Yiddishkeit. We do not fully understand and comprehend and appreciate what limud HaTorah does to the soul of a Yid. And that is the transformative, supernatural power of the Torah on the Yiddish neshama. Reb Chaim Volozhiner comments on the lashon of the word in the Mishnah in Pirkei Yovis, that the Mishnah says that Torah is machshirosai liyais tzadik b'chasid. Why the word machshirosai? Zok Reb Chaim Volozhiner from the lashon of kasher, and just like kashering purges a utensil of its treifa ingredients, so too Torah purifies the person as well. And how it does that is beyond human comprehension. It is a gzeiris hakasuv. It is a chayk. Reb Simcha Zisel Brody, Zecher Tzadik Livrocha, Chevron Rashiva, once commented on the famous Rashi in Parshas Bechukaisai. In Bechukaisai Teilechu, says Rashi, Shetiu Amelim Batera. If you will walk in my chukim, Zok Rashi, it means Limud HaTorah. But why is Torah referred to as a chayk? Torah isn't a chayk. Shatnus is a chayk. Shatnus is something that we don't understand. But Limud HaTorah is all about svara, understanding logic. The answer, said Rav Simcha Zisel, is that this is referring to the koyach HaTorah, the transformative power of Torah to change the human being, the power of Torah to elevate and transform the person. I know somebody who started his kollel life in Eretz Yisrael. He moved into an apartment building in which none of the people were from. He wanted to start a shir with them. So he asked the Adam Gadol what he should learn with them. He was thinking something along the lines of the Mesilas Yesharim or Chayvus Halavavis. The Adam Gadol told him, Tilmod itam bava kama. And when he asked Adam Gadol, bava kama? Isn't that somewhat esoteric? Is it not relevant? And the Adam Gadol told him, Ata lo ma'amin b'koyach haTorah. You don't believe in the power of Torah. And guess what? Those people became frum because of learning Bava Kama.
And that was the message that Rav Nosson Tzvi shared with the Yid name Rav Nachum Stillerman. Mr. Stillerman, after retiring, moved to Eretz Yisrael in honor of his 70th birthday. He finished Masechta Shabbos, an accomplishment he proudly shared with Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel. Rav Nosson Tzvi congratulated him, but told him that that's not enough. Go back and figure out a plan how you could finish Shas. He came back with a printout and figured out that by learning 10 hours a day, it would take him 23 years to finish Shas. Rav Nosson Tzvi reactions was, now that's a plan. Mr. Stillerman, however, had a different reaction. I'll be 93 by the time I finish. How can I undertake a plan that I cannot possibly finish? Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel, by then afflicted with debilitating Parkinson's disease for more than 28 years, struggled mightily from his seat. And while shaking, he reached under the tablecloth and pulled out more of his plans for the expansion of the Mir Yeshiva. And he turned to Mr. Stillerman and he asked him, and do you think I can do what I'm doing? Look at me! But he had a plan. And that's what he demanded from Mr. Stillerman. A plan. And that's what's demanded from us today. A plan. And if it sometimes seems beyond our kaiches, all we have to do is picture in our mind's eye Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel. He taught us never to give up. He taught us not to say, this is too hard. He taught us to always have a plan. He taught us to aim higher. He taught us to reach beyond. And he taught us that beyond your reach is really within your grasp.
We brought the Baruch to Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel 4 years ago, and we asked him for a bracha for Avos HaTorah, and Rav Nosson Tzvi said, I still hear him saying it, he said, there's one thing, this is the bracha, Chazara, 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 and then Chazara. What it says here, that's Rav Nosson Tzvi's words right there. These are Rav Nosson Tzvi's words, and this is his bracha, Chazara, and then Chazara.
Chazing the Gemara so much that the Gemara that used to be a burden to me became enjoyable. You need to make the Gemara speak your language. And that comes through Chazara, 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 and then Nachamol Chazara.
The elephant. What keeps the elephant locked up in his? You take an elephant for a circus. So what keeps the elephant put? He has a cage around him, but the elephant is 2,000 pounds. The elephant's like a school bus. Why can't the elephant just knock over the cages and go right here? They bring him to Manhattan. They bring him all over to circuses. What keeps the elephant put? It's unbelievable. What keeps the elephant put? What keeps the elephant, this big animal, where the keeper wants him to be, is a rope around his leg. And then the other side of the rope is a peg in the ground. Why? How does that work? Because when the elephant was born, and the elephant was 200 pounds, at that time, what does the innkeeper, the trainer do? The trainer takes a rope, puts it in the other side, a peg in the ground, and the elephant pulls the ganze Nacht, and he can't pull it out. He's 200 pounds. It's strong enough. And then, he gives up. That belief, that limited belief that the elephant convinces himself when he's a little baby, that when the rope is around my leg and the other side of the rope is a peg, that limited belief lasts with him a lifetime. It lasts with him a lifetime. When he's 2,000 pounds and he can easily just pick up his foot and walk through the cage, he knows when that rope is around and he can't go. 20 years ago, there was a fire during one of these circuses at night. There was a big fire, and the elephants, out of desperation, pulled out the pegs, pulled the ropes, and they broke out of the cages. To the extent that the trainers had to send them all back to Africa. Why? You lost the whole training. They had to go back into the woods. So we all have limited beliefs. We all have our own comfort zone that we create for ourselves, what we could accomplish, what we can accomplish.
Rav Gifter on his wall when he was 18 years old, when he was your age. He had Gedolim all over the wall. Gadol, all over the wall. Picture frame of Gedolim and an empty picture frame. Why not you? 18-year-old Bacher. Why not you? Why can't you? Why not you? Why are you going to be on that wall? Because he knew the power of Torah could take a young boy and make him into a giant. That's the power that Torah has. It's not just a mitzvah. Nefesh HaChaim, it's not just a mitzvah. But we don't need Rav Gifter to show us that. We don't need Rav Gifter and all the Chazals that show us the Koach HaTorah. We don't need that. We see it in front of our face. We see the before and after. You go on a trade, you see before, after pictures. What is it trying to show us? See a fat guy before picture, and all of a sudden, after, skinny. What is he trying to do? Oh, he went on a diet. The before and after, we can see a bacher before, and we can see him a year later after, and we don't even need to be explained what happened. We know he went into Torah, he delved into it, he owned it. And that made that change. The power that Torah has, unlike anything else of our 613, anything else in our Tayyag, it's not a regular. Of course it's a mitzvah, but it's much, much bigger. It's much, much more powerful.
There was a bacher, without saying names, there was one bacher here who says in the beginning of the video, learning 3 hours, that's not for me. And this bacher last week was by the dentist office getting a root canal. And he came in, he didn't announce it. He came in to say, Rebbe, I want to just tell you something. I was getting a root canal. They gave me Novocaine. It was hurting. They gave me more. No, it was still hurting. And he says, I closed my eyes and I went through the PS2 blot in Gemara, Shaka V'Tarya. The time I was finished, the dentist was finished. Shalom Yisrael. One was Bacham dancing without saying names, that's crying. Tears was coming down his face. And he whispered to me, he says, the feeling I feel now, I didn't know there was such a feeling. I didn't know there was such Simchas HaTorah. Why? Because this is a bacher that sat 4 hours straight and learned, and you learned Birid Sufis with such a geschmack, and most of all, he learned Gemaras that he knew. That's the key. He learned Gemaras that he knew, and there were tears coming down. I gave him a hug. I said, Moshe.
In the beginning of Parshas Bereshis, it says the very strange lashon that God says when He's trying to make man. What does He say? Nasa Adam. Let's make man. What do you mean, let's make man? What do you mean, let's? You are the only one. You are the only ruler. You are the only creator. Who are you talking to? You know, Rashi says, but who are? What is that? Who are you speaking to? You are the only one that can create. You are the only one that will create. So who you want to create with? So the Baal Shem Tov was a bomb shot. As you know who God's talking to? He's talking to you. He's talking to man himself. He says, let's make you. I'll do my part. I'll give you a body. I'll give you eyes. I'll give you everything. I'll give you your potential. I'll give you everything you need. I'll give you a Torah to make it happen. But now it's your turn to make it happen. Now it's your turn to rise to the challenge. Now it's your turn to attach yourself to that Torah that I gave you, that best gift that I gave you, in order to become the best you could be. Nasa Adam, me and you together, we will make you. The best part about this whole thing is that normally when you have such a great goal, it usually takes a lot of suffering and pain to get to that goal. For example, like I have a businessman. All of a sudden he knows he has to invest $1 million. That's painful. Why does he do it? Because he knows he's going to get $5 million back. But the process is painful. There's nothing good about giving over $1 million. Nothing. You have a guy working out. Right? He does sit-ups. He wants a six-pack. Right? He does sit-ups over and over. Why is he doing it? It's painful. It's a painful thing. No, because he wants to look good. He wants to be Mr. Whatever. You know who I'm talking about. I don't know if you look like it, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, yes, it's hard in the beginning. No question. It's hard. Like the orange, right? You know, imagine hearing all day long oranges. Eat oranges, the best fruit in the world. Oranges, unbelievable. No fruit like oranges. So guy's eating oranges. He hates spitting it out, hates the orange. Then he realizes he's eating it with the peel. So yes, you take the peel off, but yes, in the beginning you have to realize how to eat the orange. No one taught you. Or they taught you the wrong way. But once you unpeel that orange, once you take a bite into the fruit, there's nothing sweeter. There's nothing better. There's no competition. So Hashem gave us a way to get close to Him in the best way possible, in the most delicious, the sweetest way possible. We just gotta taste it. The only way to maximize the situation, the only way that we can take this to the next level, what we accomplished this year, is we can't stop. We're not stopping. You can't stop. You can't stop the train. You cannot stop. Once you stop, you lose all the momentum. We know all about me. Ask any basketball player. Ask any ball player. What's the most important quarter of the 4 quarters? What are they going to say? The 4th quarter. Why? It's the same amount of time. Each one is the same amount of time. What makes the 4th quarter the most? What makes the 4th quarter the most important? Why? Momentum. Because I have a first, and then a second, I build the second on the first, and I have a third that builds on the second, and now it's the 4th. First, second, third, build. But imagine a guy says, you know what? Blow the whistle after 3rd. We're taking an hour break. Let's go home. We'll come back in an hour. No, it can't happen. It's not the same game. You have to start from the beginning. So if you want to continue and to continue and to continue, if you want to continue growing, continue your success, continue and grow to levels that you never knew existed, just like you never knew this level existed. Just like a year ago, I have one boy in my class, when he was doing the Ritzuvas, and after I said, how could it be? How did you feel? He said, if I would have seen a video of me a year ago, I wouldn't even believe it. Even though I see myself, it looks like me, it talks like me, it acts like me, I still wouldn't believe it. But there are videos, this is not the end of the video. There's levels upon levels upon levels. You think the video's over? You think the show is done? You think 12th grade after or whatever it is, it's over, it's done? I reached my max? This is just the beginning. As long as you don't stop. If you don't stop, then you have a 2nd quarter, a 3rd quarter, a 4th quarter. It keeps on building and building and building until you don't even recognize. Every year you won't recognize yourself in the next video. And then wow, the next year I watch the video, I don't recognize myself either. We can't stop. We have to tell ourselves we're not stopping. Ben Azmanim, when you're feeling out of it, when you're feeling tired, you tell yourself, I'm not stopping. Summer, not stopping. You have a sister's wedding, you have this, you have that, you have distraction, you're in bed, you realize if I miss today, it's gone tomorrow, I'm not stopping. I remember when I first started teaching, one of my Rabbi Newman used to forward me all the chizuk texts from his Talmidim. You know, the 73rd Siyum and the 86th Siyum and the 103rd Siyum. And I remember getting a text. My Rebbe, I just finished my 52nd Siyum. And that moment was winter vacation. And I get a text from one of my students. And he said, I was in skiing. I went skiing. So Rabbi Newman, I'm reading my text on my phone. I see, forward. Rebbe, I just finished my 52nd Siyum. I'm like, wow, that is unbelievable. 52nd Siyum? 52nd Siyum? Does that make sense? At the same time, boom, in my phone, while I'm reading, I get a text from my student. Rebbe, I went skiing on winter vacation. I got a concussion. I'm in bed bleeding on my back. But I told you that I'm gonna learn 5 minutes a day. And I took my Gemara and on my back I'm learning my 5 minutes a day. So I sent that text to Rabbi Newman. And I said, I'm not sure what's sweeter in Hashem's eyes. Your time was 50 seconds siyum, or my time was 5 minutes. But they know what's common in both of them? No one is stopping, no matter what. Yes, we have a billion and trillion excuses in the world. But you know what? That's not gonna get you to the level that you could be. A person has to realize that if he doesn't stop, yes, it might be hard. Yes, it might be tough. There was a famous athlete, I love this quote. He said, yes, they interviewed him, the world famous big guy. He said, yeah, training wasn't always easy. So how'd you pull through? How'd you do it? So he said, I told myself, don't quit. Rather, push through now in order for you to be a champion the rest of your life. And that's what we have to take, Lahabda. That's what we have to get. Push through. Don't stop. Imagine none of us in this room stop. Imagine. We could change the world. If every single guy in this room did not stop. Not this year, not next year, not ever. We would just never stop. There's no reason to stop. We would change Klal Yisrael. We would change the face of Klal Yisrael. If you only knew what not stopping meant. If you only knew where it got you. We know, because we see. I see guys 5 years ago, but we don't see guys 10 years ago where they are now, and he sees the guys that stopped where they are now. We see what it could be. We see the potential. There's no reason every single one of them. Imagine if we only knew what it could be. A better life, a better wife, a better everything. You know, we just started a program. I mean, Newman started a program, Kenyan Masechet for Balabat. He said, listen, we have such success with the Bachrim. Let's take a program, let's make it for the working men. So these guys have been out of yeshiva for 10 years, not learning. And all of a sudden, Rabbi Newman introduces his assistant to the Balabatim. These working guys, successful working guys. And all of a sudden, what? We get text. Rabbi Newman gets text from their wives. Thank you, you changed my home. From the kids, thank you, my father's back. My father's great, my father. And look what a year of Torah does. And it's unbelievable. And you know what we think? That's 1 year learning after 10 years out. Imagine he never stopped. Imagine what his home would look like if he never stopped from yeshiva. Imagine what he would be like in his Yirat Shamayim, in his connection, in his power, in his leadership if he never stopped. Therefore, Bezrat Hashem together. Let's make that commitment. Let's understand the power of Torah, the perfection of Torah. Let's become more powerful. Let's aim to be great, not just good. And Bezrat Hashem, let's never stop. Let's never stop. And Bezrat Hashem, with never stopping, we'll reach levels and levels that we never knew existed for ourselves.
You are the future of Klal Yisrael. You are the future of Torah. You are the future of Yiddishkeit.
This is Rabbi Lish, and I want to share with you one of the most touching siyumim I ever met. And I'm sure this will inspire all of you as well. Shimon Yehuda ben Rivka Yittel is a 10-year-old sweet child in Yeshiva's Beis HaTorah in Lakewood, New Jersey. 3 years ago, at the age of 7, Shimon Yehuda was found with a brain tumor. The situation was so tough that the doctors wouldn't even try. His father got advice of Rav Yitzchak Kolodetsky Shlita, the son-in-law of Moran Rav Chaim Kanievsky Shlita, that he should learn with him a Masechta in his own time and then make a siyum. In the past 3 years, Shimon Yehuda went through a lot of surgeries and treatments, but he never gave up on his daily learning of Masechtas Brachas. Day after day, in the most difficult times, before a painful surgery or after an exhausting dose of chemotherapy, he would learn even for 5 minutes. It was tough, it was hard, but he wouldn't even skip a day. 5 weeks ago, Tuesday, Parshas Chayesara, Shimon Yehuda traveled to Florida for a difficult surgical procedure. His mother prepared everything needed for the trip, but Shimon Yehuda also prepared himself. Yes, 3 days before he flew to Florida, he was zoichet to make his own siyum on the entire Masechtas Brachas, which was celebrated with a tremendous simcha. This is not just another siyum. This was a siyum of a Masechta learned with Mesiras Nefesh. The entire Pamalia Shelmala looked from above and called out to Hashem, how wonderful are your children, Am Yisrael. Shimon Yehuda Brodsky is here with us today. Please join me in giving Shimon Yehuda a truly well-deserved round of applause. Shimon Yehuda, you are a truly source of chizik to all of us. By this gathering of Simchas HaTorah, on behalf of the whole Klal Yisrael, I want to wish you that you should make a siyum on all your treatments and surgeries, and you should be zoiche to steig and make your own entire siyum hashas. Thank you.
Mr. Mendy Rosenberg is a name that not everyone here knows, but they should. If we are gathered here today to celebrate the fierce determination and tremendous accomplishment of finishing all of Shas, then perhaps we should learn his name to understand what true, unadulterated Mesirut Nefesh looks like. 7.5 years ago, in this very spot, a man sat here, witnessing the committed achievement of the Mesayimim, the finishers of the entire Talmud Bavli, and he was blown away, just like the rest of us. But Mendy is not like the rest of us. You see, Mendy has ALS, a relentless and irreversible disease. It shuts the body down muscle by muscle until one is completely paralyzed. Frozen, the last things ALS patients can control are their minds and their eyes. At the Siyum in 2012, Mendy was 3 years into a disease that has a life expectancy of 4 years. Yet Mendy resolutely decided, ALS or not, that next Siyum he would not be here as an observer, but as a champion. Mendy left with a plan. But 6 months later, Mendy was frozen, unable to move, eat, or even breathe on his own. How could he possibly reach his goal now? Most people would give in or give up, but not Mendy. His mind and his eyes still worked, and that would have to be enough. Yeshuat Hashem keheref ayin. The salvation of Hashem comes in the blink of an eye, literally. Mendy got a specialized computer system that tracks his every eye movement. Using just his eyes, he argues with his chavruta, navigates Torah websites online, finishes the daf multiple times daily. He studies Torah morning to night. Ubahem nehege yomam valayla. Whatever it takes. His tzadeket of a wife, Malki, is sure that the zechut of his daf learning is what keeps him going. And I think we all agree with her. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu. Torah is our life and the length of our days. It has been 2,711 days since that day, and Mendy has not missed a single day. Today, Mendy has finished Shas. If he made it, what is our excuse? If we put our heart and minds into it, what could we achieve? Whatever it takes. What are you leaving today with? Mendy, I'm going to ask 100,000 people here today and the 1 million people tuning in around the world to say a hearty amen to the following beracha. Kishem she'azarto v'sayem Talmud Bavli. Just as you have helped him finish all of Shas. Ken ta'azreu להתחיל מסכתות וספרים אחרים ולסיימם. Thank you for the zechus. Thank you for the chizuk, Reb Mendy, and Mazel Tov to the entire Rosenberg family.
Unfortunately, too many people make that mistake. They tell themselves, Why bother? Why start? I can't finish. Then why begin? And anyone who thinks that way doesn't understand one of the great truths of life, and that is the perfect is the enemy of the good. It's the mindset of people who think that if I can't achieve perfection, then what's the point? And as a result, even the good is never achieved in all areas of life. But half of Shas is better than none of Shas. And one Seder is better than none. And one Masechta is good, even if it's not perfect. And don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Chazal say at the end of the days, this is an incredible Medrash Necha, that Ribbon Shalom will come to Klal Yisrael and he say, Bonai, ani tama mikem, my children, I'm amazed. Hey, him tamtem koloisa hashonim. How did you wait so long? How did you endure the Gullus? How did you keep at it? And Klal Yisrael will respond, Ilulei seiroscha shenosato lanu kfar adnu. If it wouldn't be for the Torah, we would have been lost. That's what has kept us here. Lulei seiroscha sha'ashuai oz avadati boni.